How to start fasting. You got to know this first. What is the right type for you? We're going to break it down right here. 5 days into a fast, 3 days into a fast, first ever extended fast. I'm on like my 100th plus. So you got both spectrums here to walk you through this perfect opportunity while we're in the middle of it. Doing it with you. If doctors and nurses did the things that get people healthy with the people they're trying to get healthy, what would happen to healthcare? Totally different video. But thanks for tuning in. If you're wondering how to get started with it, I'm going to give you the simple steps and the breakthrough way of going about fasting to know which tool, because they're tools, is right for you, and then how to execute it, what to watch out for. Day 5, day 3. Welcome to the fasting club, extended fasting club. You've gone like a day or something before.
I feel like the day was, but I will say the day one is the hardest. So a 1 day fast is truly like at least a good hurdle, a good starting place for a lot of people. That was enough for me. But I thought I couldn't do more, so it was more mental.
I know you're hitting me up with like I know you have tons of questions of like, now that you're into this and you're like, okay, I want to ask all of these, and you've been collecting them from our people. Yeah. But to flip it really quick on someone like, you've never done this before, you're the doctor's wife, right? And the reason being is like,
and I get very hangry.
Yeah, for your body type, being hangry, you're not going much past a day because you're just like, my body says, don't go there, but you're like, okay, I understood the research, which we'll go over in a second. Right. Why? So why make that choice, first off?
Why did I choose?
Yeah.
Because of your research. That's the only reason.
You just start to realize like this fasting, disease is harder than fasting.
Yeah, for sure.
Disease is harder than going without food. Health tastes better than food. And that's the point. You're just like, you know what? I have to do this for a bit, because when you get to 3 days, I'm going to show you the autophagy, the cleanup that starts to happen. Now, first time, like, initial response. What are you feeling? What are you going through?
Like, I mean, the first day was my hardest.
This is not where you should start. I'm going to walk you through easy step by step in just a moment.
You should not do what she did. First day was the hardest because you have those natural habits and rhythms of food. And I have kids that I cook for and whatnot. So getting through that first day where I was hungry, but I chose not to eat, that was the hardest. But after that, you almost get into this, you realize, you almost start to think about food differently. So it's been going great after that first day.
This is the thing. If you fasted, comment below. Your relationship with food changes. This is all about altering your relationship with food. There are weight loss benefits. Believe me, I'm pushing 10 pounds right now, weight loss. And there's energy benefits, there's autophagy, but changing your relationship with food is a massive benefit.
Huge. That's been the best part for me so far. Knowing mentally, I just keep thinking about the research and what it's doing inside that you don't ever really get to know or see oftentimes. But the mental game for the food and the obsession with food or the habits with food, that's been really good.
Yep. So it is realizing the moments when you are emotionally eating, emotionally tied, and so much of our day wrapped around these pockets of food overeating or aimless eating. You don't even know why you're eating sometimes. Let's break this down step by step. Very simple. If you've never ventured into it, the word fasting, you're like, I can't even believe I'm watching this video right now. I'm going to walk you through step by step of what I believe unlocks the ability to use fasting and be a perfect on-ramp versus what a lot of people teach out there of just jumping into something. And I think it'll kind of speak to your journey of how you've gotten all the way to an extended fast, but I'll take you through it. So I'm going to pass it back over and I'll be the interviewee.
I think the first thing that I wanted to know was like, in a very quick sum up, like, what is fasting? Because there are so many people think fasting and they think like only water, or they think it's biblical only, or they think like, well, what's wrong with your health? So like, I guess like in a simple, like, what would you consider fasting to be?
Well, I'm going to cover 8 different types today. You probably didn't even know there's 8 different types. Okay. A true like definition Webster's, you got to get beyond a day or 2.
Okay.
And that's when you're like in that true fast. But for your nice terminology, so we can talk about this, we're including everything from 3 hours, like the length of time you've gone your entire life without eating, and up to, people pushing 30 plus days. Now, I'm not condoning any of that. Never done that. The longest I've ever gone is straight water fast, 14 days. And that was back when I was doing a full protocol and learning all this stuff in doctorate school. But now, this current moment, I'm going 7. And I will show you how often I do that. And that might not be for everybody. Okay. But I want to talk to you about the baseline stuff because the benefits kick in real fast when you start doing this. So let's dive in. All right. So here's where you start. Okay. This is called rotational fasting. It's unlike probably anything you've heard before. If you've been around me, you've heard me talk about it. We lead thousands of people through this. Literally right now, hundreds of people are participating in these steps, somewhere within this range of 8 steps. Okay. That's what I have it at right now. I'm continuing to beat this thing up because I think the way I'll lay it out for you today, it starts to make sense of, oh, I can do this. Okay. Because of the broadening of the word fasting that I've done. Step number 1. You ready for this? We just talked about processed food. We just talked about the standard American diet. We just talked about the snack cupboard. The first fast is the snacking fast. Stop snacking. That's step 1.
Okay.
What does that mean? 3 meals a day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Get in the rhythm. Get in the rhythm. Get in the rhythm. Not, right? That's how we're eating, just constant.
Yeah.
So, snacking fast. Well, I didn't know that was fasting, Dr. Livingood. This is nice. I can do that. Just 3 solid, healthy meals a day. That's step number 1. That's where you start. Why? If I throw you into a 3-day fast, yes, of course it's like torture, right? And you're not ready for it, nor should you be. And then when you're done fasting, guess what you do? You go right back to the snack cupboard.
Right.
That's the problem with a lot of the protocols out there. You can get some results, but if you go right back to diet soda or like some of the blogs I read about, like my journey through fasting, you're like, what they ate during it or what they drank during it. And I was like, you can't, that's not. It's all about building health. That's step 1. Step 2. Then we go with food group fasting.
Okay.
Sugar fast.
Yeah.
How about that? A lot of you have attempted that or are on that right now. So now you're in 3 meals a day. Now we're looking at what are you eating at those 3 meals? And we're going to cut those carbohydrates out. We're going to cut those processed sugars out. That's literally when I got initially hired an insulin specialist to walk me through some of this stuff. This is the expanded, like Dr. Livingood simplified version of what we were going through. I'm like, can we go a little faster? He's like, no, you have to make this a lifestyle and you want to understand these tools of how to do this and you want to reset your relationship with food. Yeah. So here we are, we're not snacking. We're doing 3 meals a day. Then we start doing food group fasts. And I'm going to speak more to this at the end because there are 2 other ones, aren't there? You could cut a lot of protein. You could cut a lot of fat, right? You could alter vegetarian, carnivore, right? See what I'm saying? That's all those diets are. It's just food group fasting. So we're going to come back to that one. But for the sake of it, a sugar fast. Okay. So that's in my book. You can grab a copy of that below. Very simple. It will walk you through a sugar fast, how to do it. Yeah. So we've got to nail that down. You can go deeper in that video to understand how to do it. Number 3, now we get to the one everyone knows. IF, intermittent fasting. What does this mean? We've cut the snacking. We're doing 3 times a day. Okay. We are then cutting out the specific food group of sugars to stop feeding cancer cells in our body, reverse metabolic disease. Okay. Now we take one of those away or we make one of them smaller. I would recommend first you just half-size breakfast, lunch, dinner. Then maybe you half-size breakfast, half-size lunch, normal dinner. I feel like it's like the cups on the table, right? Then drop breakfast. Now you're into a true intermittent fast because you're going to eat lunch at noon. You're going to eat dinner at 6, and then you're not going to eat again until lunch the next day. You are getting 14, 16, 18-hour windows of not eating. That might be a big step for a lot of you. But if you stay there long term, you won't break through. You won't get that last 10 pounds off. You won't break through and really start to make a dent in the hormonal problems that have caused you to put on 80 pounds and the insulin impact because your body starts to get used to that. Because that's still not that challenge. It's just like working out what we're doing here, right? You got to get up out of your chair. You got to start walking. Then you got to start doing some calisthenics. Then you're just building it up. Okay. So now we're at intermittent fasting. Now you can play with that. Okay. And a lot of people stay there for a while, weeks to months, because you could start to go no breakfast, lunch, dinner, or you can start to squash down lunch and dinner. Maybe you're like, I'm going lunch at 12. I'm going dinner at 4. Well, now you just took a couple more. You did a 20-hour fast every single day, but that's intermittent. Okay. Now we go one more level up. Ready? So now we're at step 5. Step 5 is OMAD. 1 meal a day, 23 hours of fasting, 1 delicious, healthy, full of nutrients meal. Looking for 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 calories in one meal. Might be a lot for some of you to eat. Depends on what you're eating. Not all calories are the same. 100 calories of carbohydrates and bread is not the same as 100 calories of healthy avocado. See what I mean? They're not the same. They burn completely different in your body. So we want to pick healthy ones there. But that's OMAD, 1 meal a day. So you're going a 23-hour period. So maybe you're only eating at 6 o'clock at night. And then you're going the next day all the way till the next period. You could choose it to be breakfast. You could choose it to be lunch. But you see how we're just ratcheting up? You are slowly training your body to get into metabolic shape. This is called a metabolism reset, also known as rotational fasting. Now, the next step up. So if you stay at OMAD long-term, you could be stressing the system a bit. Like if you're just eating 1 meal a day, rest of your life. Now, the Romans, this is what they did. It was gluttonous to eat more than once a day. They looked down on it. That started to shift as more and more things got around food. And then in Europe, it started to go, this is hundreds of years ago, to 2 meals a day. And then now we have what are we on? 6 now? How many do we have? It doesn't end until midnight. Right? That has been driven by big food. So 1 meal a day is something you work towards. I would just jump straight to that more than likely. And if you've got a lot of cortisol already, you're going to stress the system a little bit during the day. So you have to understand how this is doing with your energy. However, this is a tool I might pick up and use for several weeks. Yeah. Just to put yourself through it. Why? Because you've overdone the food and the snacking so far one direction. This gives you a time period to undo all of that. And that's why you also keep going further. So then you kind of made it up to us. You've been there, right? And then you went to step 5. And step 5 was a full day fast. You've done this before, especially around my dad's period of time of like, he's just in it knee deep in all the sacrifice he has to make, all the bland food he has to eat. And we got very, very intense very quickly there. You joined him for that. But since then, there hasn't been a big drive of like, there's not a big chronic disease. There's not a big,
Yeah. And it was baby after baby and nursing after nursing. There's always an excuse.
And then there's those Livingoods, always requiring food. So this is where we go 1 full day fast. Okay. And that might be your next step. This is step 5, right? We're leveling out. We eliminated snacking. Okay. We leveled out our meals and we eliminated the carbohydrates. We fasted from sugar at least. Okay. Then we started maybe intermittent by dropping one of those meals. Then we dropped 2 of them with OMAD. Now see how we're building? Now we're a full day fast. There's 2 different types of full days fast. There's water. God bless those people. I've done it. I did it for 14 days straight. That was the younger Dr. Livingood. Okay. Anymore, I'm like, this is before I drank coffee. I went through doctorate school without coffee.
That was before you had anyone around you too. Like you didn't have a student.
It's true. So we're dating long distance. She's in Iowa. I'm in Georgia getting my doctorate.
You can pull up in your room and just watch shows.
Literally have nothing else to do, but I have a ton of tests and my water. But anymore, I'm like, not as much of the water fast. Hardcore people in the fasting realm will say, it's only got to be water, right? Research shows out of USC, 200 calories or lower in a day, and they still saw the resetting effect to the immune system. So I'm like, that's good enough for me, USC. So I do dirty fasting. I like a little dirty, okay? So the dirty fasting allows you to drink things. So we brought some of them out here. So we got tea, right? We got our coffee. My coffee is organic, no processed, pesticides. We tested this thing so much. Herbicides, pesticides, glutens, molds, all of it. So it's organic. And then we added moringa to it too, which will give you extra antioxidant support. Very important when you are fasting. We got bone broth. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the first day I did a lot more teas because I can't do more than 1 cup of coffee typically. 1 or 2 is my max. Mm-hmm. So then I went on to a lot of teas to help me keep a lot of stuff in me. Bone broth.
That's a brand we like. Doesn't have to be specific. Difference between this and your classic broth is that it's actually steeped for 18 to 24 hours, which pulls the collagen out of the bone as opposed to just the broth layer of it. So we want that collagen. We want those extra nutrients in there. 19 grams of protein per container that you're getting there. So
some of those plain broths get expensive, but you can make your own simply.
Absolutely. There's a recipe on drlivingood.com for that. Extra sea salt. Okay. I'm going to talk about this in a minute, but you'll want to be using a little bit of sea salt. I put the collagen in my coffee. Amino acids are crazy important. Getting extra amino acids in makes a huge impact on your cortisol levels, makes a huge impact on your hormone production. Testosterone HGH go up during this time. So I love to get collagen in, and then my body's in repair mode. What does it use to repair? Collagen. So I love putting the collagen in, and this is sweetened with monk fruit, so it keeps that insulin level down, so you're not spiking it. It's dirty, right? Some people say, dude, I can't use any of that kind of stuff. I'm like, okay, well, have fun, but this still gets me the results, right? Greens.
And you, for the most part, when you do fast, especially if you're doing like a shorter one to 3, you do typically eliminate a lot of this kind of stuff, and you'll go as clean.
There's times when I've done it. You need to go there. You need to kind of try all of it.
For my first one, I am choosing to eliminate powders purely because it's my first time doing a long one, so I wanted to get my body every.
First one I did, it was like.
But some people are opposite. They need this to survive a 3-day their first time. So
recent ones, I cut coffee. It's like only water. Yeah. Like I've been there and done that. You got to find which one gets you the best results, and I think it's just a good thing to cut everything. Yeah, it's not bad, but often, yeah. I'm just saying, like, if you're just starting off, which is the reason you're watching this video, to get you all the way to that point, you might need some helpful tools. Right. So green juice, if it's green, it's got very low carbohydrate, very low calorie. Okay, can't spike insulin levels. That's key.
So no fruits and.
Because someone was like, can I just blend strawberries and drink that? I'm like, well, now you're eating the fiber and you're actually eating the food as opposed to juicing.
Just vegetables too. Like you wouldn't want to add.
Because remember, USC, that's where there were 200 calories or less the whole day. That's what got those people to that point. So like, I could put this in. I'm still under my calorie count. Electrolytes, huge. Need extra electrolytes in. So I highly encourage getting electrolyte powder or using sea salt extra in your water. We need to figure out how to get electrolytes in. You're going to get cold. You're going to potentially get crampy. You're going to potentially get crabby if you don't have extra electrolytes in, because of the role that magnesium and sodium and potassium play inside of your body. It's very important, in my opinion, while you are fasting to put that stuff in. So that's dirty, right? Sparkling waters also included. That's a 1-day fast. Then we move on to step number 6. This is what it gets fun, okay? These are cleanses, okay? So step 6 is doing an actual cleanse, which means in 1 day, you hardly have enough time to get all the food that you previously ate the day before out of your system. And then you're still just processing food. You haven't really cleansed the whole system to truly give the liver, the kidneys, the digestive system a complete break. So here's 2 of my favorite cleanses, and I put these links up there for you so you can guide yourself through these. And I've done these so many times. People love these, and they're a little bit more friendly as opposed to just straight up water fast. So cleanse number 1 is a 3-day green juice fast. You could use the greens powder. We have multiple flavors of this at Livingood Daily. You can get your own. There's brands like Suja that do a great job. You're looking for like 10 grams of carbs or less per serving. That's going to be one that doesn't taste that good. That's why you might need this to make it taste better. But it needs to be very low carbohydrate, very low sugar green juice. You can also juice your own. Right. It's expensive in today's environment, but cucumbers are really good to get a lot more juice out of it. Celery is good. We do green apples. We do, make sure they're green, not red. You can juice, spinach, kale, broccoli, all of those. You just don't get as much juice out of them. And you did a ton of this. We used to do so much juicing, but it ends up being, starts to get more costly. So that's why I've created this to help drive water into the cells. Juice cleanse, 3 days. Okay, shows you how to do it on the guide. That guide is included below. So free guide for you. You can walk through and get that. The second one is a collagen cleanse. So the juice cleanse detoxing. I've had a run of sicknesses. I've had a run of toxic food. I've been on vacation. I overate crazy. It's right after the holidays, January 1st. I did medical testing. Any kind of known toxic exposure, I'm going for this cleanse, okay? Repair. I need to repair. I came out of a surgery. I have a digestive distress. My whole digestive system is just hurting. I'm bloated. I have an autoimmune condition. Collagen cleanse. What does that mean? You're doing collagen loading to load it back up into the system. 3 days worth of a bunch of smoothies is what that looks like. That guide is below for you. Now, with the greens one specifically, not so much with the collagen, you can add in 1 extra wrinkle as a bonus to get extra flushing. And that is by doing a morning flush. You use either sea salt water or prune juice for this, okay? So this is, again, we're like on stage 6. If you're just starting off, can you see though how you build up to this stuff? In the mornings though, what we would do is we would take our sea salt and I would do typically a teaspoon or 2, okay? And the more salt that you get, the better it is. And then it's just like lukewarm water, 20 to 32 ounces of it, depending on your size. This is in the guide. and you just chug it. And salt water, when it goes in like that, it comes out the same way, pretty much. So that is a flush of scrubbing the inside of the digestive system. If it does not come out, you absorb most of it. That's how deficient you were in electrolytes. That's how much your body needed. So it's very important to use high quality sea salt when you do this flush. Or you could just do 20 ounces of prune juice. Adds a little extra cleansing in there. Again, it's all in the guide. So there's your steps of these cleanses. Or you could just go liquids. Okay, there's nothing wrong with just talking about the dirty fasting that we did on the one day and continued it for 3 days. That's what you just did or doing. Or just straight up water. Does that make sense?
Yeah. The guides help too. Yep.
Yes, the guides are there. I'm just showing you all these as tools of where to get going and which one's right for you. So these are using big time as response tools, okay? The ultimate response, right, is going to be number 7, which is an extended fast.
Okay.
So this is what I'm in the middle of day 5. I typically am going somewhere between 3 and 7. I'm maybe doing 1 or 2 of these a year.
Yeah.
Okay. And some of you might not ever get to that 7 day. It's totally okay. However, research is pointing to, as when you start to look at cancer as a metabolic disease, that a 1 week fast of just liquids once a year would prevent 97% of new cancer cases.
Okay.
Going 3 days is going to still make a huge difference, right? But I'm in the middle of that one. And like I said, maybe only once a year, maybe not for everybody. If you are, the adrenals are stressed, or you do have a weakness in the system, or you might not go that long. However, you'd be surprised what your body can do.
Yeah.
When people start going, and there's one gentleman that went over 1 year, he just had a lot of extra fat on the body. And he lost like 130 pounds, but he didn't eat. Like you start seeing that stuff, you're like, wow, I can do a few days. What we want to tap into is accessing some of that, right? You're walking around with all this excess energy and you can't tap into it.
Yeah.
So extended fasting, very powerful for specifics. Resetting the metabolism. I think this is very important if you truly want to metabolically reset what's going on the inside of your body. Our advanced metabolism reset protocol is this advanced rotational fasting that we get into. So that's number 7 that we've led all the way up to being on day 5. So you can work your way to a 3 day. You can work your way beyond that if you want. And then it goes to step number 8. Final step is more than we circle back around to food group fasting. So you get, let's say you want to start out, okay? I've given you the steps here. And you are going to eliminate snacking. That's step 1, Dr. Livingood. I'm going to stay there for a couple of weeks. Then I'm going to move into my first sugar fast, or my 47th sugar fast. And we're going to eliminate that food group, okay? Then you're going to work towards intermittent fasting, where you're going to start to eliminate breakfast and just focus on lunch and dinner, being healthy foods, no snacking, with the carbohydrates cut out. Then you might go all the way to OMAD, and get a little fancy. Maybe you try that for a week. We do these in the challenges. We challenge people to do it for a week or 2, or maybe you do it a month. You see what I mean? The time can vary. Then we're going to hit the body differently again, and we're going to go to a full day fast. I'm trying to go full day. I'm just going to eat some or drink some of these liquids, not eating anything. Maybe you get into a full day and you're like, you know what? I want to extend it 2 days, 3 days. You go all the way out with just liquids. Or you try one of the 3 day fasts in the guides below. See the process here? Then maybe at some point you get, all right, I got this dialed in. I'm used to this. That right there could take months and months and months. But you're rotating in new eating ways. Mm-hmm. And then you could just flip that on its head and start coming back down. Like you just did a 3 day fast. Now maybe next week you go back into OMAD. And then you start to add back in, a couple weeks after that, you start adding back in lunch and you go back to intermittent fasting. And you work your way all the way back down to just 3 meals a day, no snacking, and eating properly. I've reestablished my relationship with food and my metabolism's reset. Is this making sense to you?
Don't go all the way back to your old habits.
Yeah, then don't reverse all the way. You see what I mean? You're up the ladder, down the ladder. That's rotational.
Yeah.
And then you settle into something that's doable for you. I don't know which level is the one that you want to settle in. Maybe OMAD is like, you do great on it. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe it's intermittent. Maybe it's just three healthy meals a day. Because you've undone all the damage you've done before this point, now you can settle back into that. But then if the symptoms aren't gone, if the diagnosis isn't gone, if the problem you're facing, the medications you're still on them, that's not all cleared up. Now you go into food group fasting. And that's the common diets you know today.
Yeah.
What if you just viewed them as fasting? I'm going to fast from inflammatory foods.
Yeah.
That's an inflammatory diet. Maybe you do that for 30 days.
Yeah.
Maybe you should try that. And this is what we help people in our groups do all the time. Maybe you only want to eat meat and you're going to fast from vegetables and fruits and carbohydrates. called carnivore diet. We're just fasting from food groups. Maybe you want to try FODMAPs. FODMAPs, I hate that word. Where you're fasting from starches, complex starches, simple starches. You're getting those out of your system. And so carnivore would be like the ultimate version of that, but you're cutting out a lot. You're just fasting from food groups. Or maybe you want to fast from meat. Be a vegetarian for a while. They're all just fasting tools. That's all we're talking about here for a period of time. Here's the key. I believe if you skip some of the steps between 1 and 8, you don't know what to reset to. You could start today and completely fast from meat, but then
you'll just jump from one thing to the other.
Yeah, you're trying to go all the way there. I'm like, let's reset the system a little bit. Let's reestablish our relationship with food. And then once you go through a fast or 1 day fast or 2 day fast, all that stuff doesn't seem that hard. You're like, oh, well, I can eat still? Whew, okay, good. But I just can't eat that. Okay, perfect. I'll figure it, right? But these are the tools. And this is why I lay it out this way, is because you start with just that snacking side of it. You start with your food group, sugar first, sugar fasting. Then you maybe do a little bit intermittent. Then we can start to get advanced. I recommend it takes people 3 months to get through steps 1, 2, and 3. Then we start to go more advanced. Now you could throw in every 4 weeks a 1 day fast in the middle of that. And then we eventually work our way towards anti-inflammatory. Maybe carnivore is right. Maybe anti-inflammatory is right. Maybe FODMAPs is right. Maybe vegetarian is right. Depending on conditions, they work for a lot of people and they don't work for other people.
Right.
If you had FODMAPs problems, then vegetarian's not going to be your friend, because eating a ton of vegetables and eating a ton of starches is actually going to set you back even further because you have an overgrowth of bacteria in your gut. So there's the advanced side of it. We just worked all the way up. Do you like this? Is this landing? I was so excited to lay this out. It finally just clicked. I'm like, this is how to lay it out really easily. And then how do you break a fast is the last part of it. How do you come off of that? Soft foods, smoothies, soups, soft foods, easy to digest. At that moment, I would increase digestive enzymes, which are in the greens. They're in my GI support. If you have gallbladder issues, I would be taking my GI support during it to support the gallbladder with ox bile and digestive enzymes and other repairers of the gut. You can still take all of your supplements while you're doing fasting and use those on a regular basis. No problems there. If you're on a medication, you're going to have to figure out how you can maybe drink something or maybe eat a fruit to get your medication in.
Right.
Talk to your pharmacist about that one. But there it is. If you're a beginner to fasting, steps all the way up through, your guides are below. And if you want to know, okay, let's go deeper into like the drinks, because that's your menu. This is the easiest menu you're ever going to have. You don't have to worry about making meals. You don't have to worry about making recipes. What can I drink during it? 15 fasting drinks with amazing benefits in this video right here. Check this one out.